Hi, welcome to the Real Estate Market Watch. I'm Bob Gibbs, and welcome to video 5 in our series for sellers entitled How to Maximize Your Return on the Sale of Your Home or Investment Property. This video right here is actually very important as well, not unlike all the other ones we spoke about. So we've already went through your motivation for selling and really understanding what that is and making sure that you have you're properly motivated and you're willing to do what you need to do to sell your home. We've been over determining what your home is actually worth based on comparative market analysis of the surrounding homes that sold in your area. We went over pricing strategies, and that has to do with the current market that we're in, the inventory turns, what else is on the market, number of homes, just a litany of different things. And so the next thing to do is actually go over the listing agreement. Many people talk about what they're going to do to market and sell your home, which we do, but not understanding the listing agreement is, not to explain that would be a criminal almost. You need to understand it's because this is actually a binding contract that you're entering. So I'm just going to go through it page by page, and I'm not going to go over the whole thing, but I'm going to go over the key elements of it. So very first thing you need to sign up for, or at least acknowledge receipt of and understanding of, is basically the agency disclosure. So what that is with a real estate contract is you have an agency disclosure, and that tells you as a seller what my responsibilities are to you as your agent. So I'll give you a couple of examples of what it says in here. It says, I have a fiduciary responsibility of utmost care, integrity, honesty, and loyalty in dealing with you. That's my responsibility to you as your listing agent. To the buyer and seller, I have to diligently exercise a reasonable care, skill in performing of my duties. I have a duty to be honest and fair in dealing in good faith. I have a duty to disclose everything I know about the home to you and to any buyer. And that is something that you're going to see come up from time and time again while you're going through this contract. So that's actually the agency disclosure. And basically what that does is outline who's responsible for what the responsibilities are of the seller's agent and the listing agent. And that's the first thing that you should always sign before you start having a discussion with an agent about representation. The next thing that we actually have signed is a disclosure saying that it's possible that our brokerage may represent more than one buyer for your home. So, I work for Jay Rockcliffe, and I'm representing you as your agent, as listing agent. There may be two agents in my office that actually write offers on your home. That's called dual agency. So there's a high likelihood that that will happen, and so as a result, we notify you via disclosure that that's a possibility and can kind of get your permission up front. Here's the listing agreement itself. And I'll go over the highlights of this so that we can keep within the time allotted for this video. But basically, it goes over the listing period of time. So what I would recommend is you don't take a listing any less than 6 months. And the reason I say that is that if you consider marketing time and everything, getting offers in on the home, and then you have to have an active listing during the time of escrow. 6 months is not unreasonable. You have to determine what you're going to price the home, which we discussed in previous videos. And then here's one that always comes up as something as a topic of discussion. That's compensation to the broker, or commission. Commission is very important for a lot of reasons. But what I will say is that commission is always negotiable. So it's a negotiable thing, but you need to consider how attractive you want to make your home on the market. And for better or worse, other agents can see the commission levels and they'll take that into account. So make sure that you understand that commissions are negotiable, but I would definitely make sure you understand any issues with discount commissions, things of that nature. Also in here is, again, it goes over agency relationships. So what my responsibilities are to you as a seller. Any additional terms, in a lot of cases, if we're representing you as a seller and we actually find a buyer of your home, with your permission, we actually can legally represent the buyer as well. And in those cases, in a lot of cases actually, we will actually do it for a reduced commission to do that. So that's something that you have to approve, and it has to be only with your permission. Also, there is a clause in here for mediation and arbitration. So what this says basically is asking if you would agree to going through a mediation and arbitration as opposed to just going to court and entering into a lawsuit. So that's in order to mitigate any fees associated with getting into a lawsuit, and just having a judge basically mediate first, and if that doesn't work, we'll go to arbitration. So that's really the listing agreement. It determines duration, price, compensation, and agency, and determines whether or not you're going to agree to mediation and arbitration. There's also a seller advisory. So a seller's advisory tells you basically that you are responsible as seller to disclose anything you know about the property. So any hidden flaws, things like that, you have an obligation as a seller to disclose that. I have an obligation as a listing agent to disclose anything I know about the property. And that is so that the buyer can do a thorough due diligence when they put an offer in on your home. That's called a seller's advisory. The last thing I'm going to talk about here is seller's affidavit of non-foreign status. In California, what they want to make sure is that people who are living out of state or will be moving out of state pay any state sales tax that may be due. And there are different exclusions to this, but this is a form you need to sign. There are some things you need to check off. It's a state mandated form, and I would recommend why you enter into an agreement to list your home, that you talk to a CPA about this and make sure that you have the ability to not have to have the state hold your proceeds from the sale. That's all I wanted to talk about in this video. There are a lot of other disclosures with selling a home. And so the bottom line on that is, me as your agent, I will go through the disclosures with you, but it's really you as a seller has to go through and fill these things out, and you are obligated by law to disclose anything you know about the house. And I highly recommend you do that anyway. You're better off entering into an agreement with someone, disclosing everything you know, so they can make a conscious decision that this is the right house for them, and that so later on, 6 months from now or whenever they move in, if they discover something that should have been disclosed, so you're not dealing with an issue and a lawsuit. So listing agreement is vitally important. We can't conduct business without it. You need to understand it. One last thing I will say is we always ask for 6 months at least, but we also offer an early out program so that if for whatever reason you decide you don't want to list a house, we just ask for 30 days notice and we will cancel listing, and we will move on from there. So anyway, that's it for this video. I'll see you back on the next one. Bye.